Oh wow, look at that, mate.
Wow.
Wow, look at this.
Now that is a view.
Last week, we left the calm of James's campsite and trekked southwest across the ranges to reach Darglen Lodge. We climbed to the lookout on Wild Dog Rocks before enjoying a dirt bike demo and a muddy night drive back at the lodge. This week, the adventure continues as we're escorted by the local ranger down to the stunning Rocky Ned's waterfall. We head for the unmissable Mount Separation. Welcome to Your 4x4. It's the final episode of our 5-part series covering the best of the Strathbogies and beyond.
Woke up this morning, we had a little bit of breakfast, bit of cereal, made myself a coffee.
Got the breakfast going. One of the Cooper boys came up and go, Mick, how was your sleep? I said, sleep was good, yeah, a little bit of rain in the night time. He goes, oh, your tyre's not so good. Had a look, there was the front tyre, obviously mud in the bead.
So this is a great use of pressure control here. We can set it to whatever pressures we want through the links, and that will control the A or B compressor to fill up that tyre to that pressure.
We got up to 50 psi. By that stage, there was so much pressure on the bead that it finally seated and there wasn't any air leaking, and we were able to get on our way.
We started off by meeting the ranger.
Neil was a fantastic guide for us today. Gave us a load of information.
Helps you find the right places that you wouldn't really find on a map.
He was able to give us some real good insights into where we're driving through and some of the places we were going to and some of the history behind it.
Off we went. First little track we got to was this sort of rock up climb. Looked a little slippery, but actually not too bad. This area is just green everywhere at the moment. They've had a lot of rainfall.
Super wet in there, water still running out of the moss and out of the trees.
And we've just seen rolling carpets of granite the whole way around. This is, for me, incredible.
In fact, I haven't done anything through the Strathbogie Ranges, so to have that experience today was magnificent. I'll be back, it's awesome.
The undergrowth looks pretty thick through here, doesn't it? Yeah. This is such a scenic little drive through here from the Rocky Ned's track. It's something for everybody to see.
We're rocking and rolling here. Like I said, it's a bit of a rough track. I'm going to pull over, I think, up here because we've come across a down tree. And so we're going to clear the track for other users to come through.
Came across a tree that was down the track. Someone had already started creating a chicken track around it. I said, boys, let's get this cleared.
So Clearview had a little still handsaw, little electric one. He was there helping Mike cut the tree up, and with his tiny little saw, actually did a really good job. After seeing that, I might have to go and invest in one.
The good thing for us there is, again, is we're demonstrating to, I suppose, to people that approve all of our processes and approve what we do when we go out and we film, that we actually care about what we're doing. We're not just doing it for the sake of say we did it, we actually do it.
So we just cleared the track, cut that up and got it off the track so that we can all continue on. Now let's see what more adventures the rest of the day brings.
Looks like it's a pretty fresh one. It's only come down the last week or so. Great that Mike's got all his equipment on board. We're able to get that off the track pretty quickly. Seems like there's a few others that are at risk of coming down around here as well. This Rocky Ned's track is beautiful countryside. No, it's a great part of the world.
In the Strathbogie State Forest today, and very fortunate to have Neil the Ranger accompanying us today, to show us a few tracks and just showing us some of the improvements that they're busy undergoing.
So obviously the ranger's showing us around and through certain areas. We came through some gated areas. The gates were open, but it's important to know those gates are there for a reason. When they are closed in certain times of the year, you can't go through them. They're closed to sort of let that natural habitat come back to normal.
Some people don't like the fact that they're locked up, but in general, what Neil explained to us today is because they're doing that works and doing that maintenance, and they're doing it in the toughest time, through winter and the early spring. They're doing that now to get everything sorted so that we can enjoy it in the future.
We came down to a new bridge construction that's been put in as well, where they've actually put a proper concrete bridge in over a creek. This area is now opened up to people with not four-wheel drives, because they're opening some great camping areas in there, which will have facilities. So families that may not have a truck like this one set up can still get in there with their normal car and enjoy the wilderness that we have here in Victoria.
For the local ranger, and we're soon at the new area that they're busy developing at Rocky Ned's. Got out of the vehicle, bit of work this morning, so everybody stopped for a quick morning tea.
Now, the way you pack your fridge can make a big difference on how quickly it cools down. Now, there are a number of tricks. You can plug it into the 240-volt power socket at home before you leave. You can pack it full of frozen gear, which will certainly make it cooler when you start. Or if your fridge isn't completely full, when you do pack it, use some scrunched up plastic or paper to fill those vacant areas, and that will make your fridge run far more efficiently.
So the word on the street when we got to the falls was a short, couple 100-metre flat walk.
Looks like I've been sucked in yet again. Turned out to be a lot further than 200 metres. Good exercise for me though.
There was thick moss everywhere and it was sodden and wet. It's been raining for a couple of days and there's so much water in them. You sort of touch it and I guess it's like a sponge you just pulled out of the sink or something when you're doing the dishes.
He said it wasn't steep, but there was parts of it steep. My knees were feeling it.
We had to cross the river at one stage. There was a slightly submerged rock in the middle and it was a little bit daunting. One of the girls on the way back out managed to get her foot in the wrong place and we nearly had a moment there, but held it all together, so it all came out all right. It was great.
Well done. Well worth it. If you're in the area, you should definitely stop in and have a look. You can get in amongst the rocks. It runs a fair way down the hill, so you can have a really good scout around and really enjoy the area.
Whilst the Kelly gang are well known in the Strathbogies, we are unsure of any links with Rocky Ned's, but we had heard of a surviving bank vault that Ned Kelly brazenly robbed. So we headed back to Euroa to take a quick look.
We looked at a safe door which was taken from the bank that Ned Kelly robbed.
Back in the 1800s, and he got away with over 2,200 pounds.
It's not a bank anymore, it's now an accountant's, but very interesting to see some history from Victoria that, yeah, not many people get to have a look at.
1878, wow.
The door actually has been restored and hung back on it, and the safe is kindly put back together, but from everything else around it was actually destroyed in the explosion when he broke into the bank.
Our trekking around the Euroa Shire and Strathbogies has entailed a considerable amount of packing, unpacking and moving around, all of which has been made considerably easier thanks to our AusTrack campers. Of course they let you carry plenty of gear, but the total storage solution is a bit more involved. A good off-road camper will have stacks of storage space. But there may be a time when you need to put a little bit extra inside here when you're transiting. Now, it's very important how you pack the inside of your camper trailer. If you put it up nice and high, you're going to end up with a huge mess. So pack heavy items down low, nice and neat, to ensure that nothing gets broken or damaged, and your camper will be far more stable with a lower centre of gravity. Plus, there'll be no mess to deal with. This is the start of the climb to Mount Separation, and it is what I have been looking forward to all of this trip. This is rock crawling touring style. It's not super hard, but it's going to look fantastic on camera, and I can't wait to get these wheels onto the rocks and have a crack at it. Evan, fingers crossed, the mist is starting to clear.
Looks like it, Simon. We should have some pretty good views up at Mount Separation if it keeps going like this.
How are you going to go with the rock crawling? You're finally going to hit low range?
Yeah, mate, definitely be putting it in low range for the rock crawling. I might even go into rock mode on the old Raptor.
That'll be the way to go. Mike, we've got a little bit of rock crawling coming up. What'll be your strategy?
Depends how big the rocks are, I guess, as to whether I get over them.
Clearance isn't going to be an issue for you.
Then I guess we'll see how it goes.
There's a couple of rocky step-ups which were quite technical. We all had to have our wits about us. Simon was at the top to sort of guide us and give us the right direction, and we all managed to bounce up the first section.
Absolutely magnificent track, loved it. So I just engaged lockers and just low range first, just let the car walk up, just take it easy.
It's quite steep and rocky and loose. Most of the vehicles got up there without too much hassle. I reckon this is lock it down in first. Should be able to crawl it really, really slow. Keep going across, that's it, now bring it over. That's it, nice. Good one.
Wedge your leg at the side because it's going to be bouncing.
May as well just set cruise control on her.
I don't know if it'll work.
Once we got up this short little section, it was a tight turn into the trees where we were folding mirrors in and really watching ourselves as we came through all this tight wooded tree section.
A lot of tight sections, very narrow, and do 3 or 4 point turns, 1 or 2 sections to get around the trees.
Yeah, a couple of the bigger vehicles in the trees certainly had to watch what they were doing. It's quite a tight little track.
Obviously the Raptor's a little bit wider than most of the other vehicles. I managed to get through there, but it was pretty tight. Had to be extremely careful to make sure that I didn't damage Jake's car.
But then we came to this one spot where there was a massive drop-off and a pretty kind of daunting scenario where you wanted to leave the left wheel tucked up on top of the rock as you rolled over the top. Driving, all you were going to see was an absolute face full of bonnet.
Okay, you've got to be able to sit up and look over. So,
being a manual, he got caught in a rock ledge and then took his foot off the brake and the vehicle lurched forward. So yeah, it did get a bit interesting.
Yeah, slowly, brake.
Fortunately, got plenty of clearance, and we got to the bottom without too much bumping and scraping. But I think some of the other guys had to get a spot and just make sure they didn't damage their rock sliders too much.
You're getting your sill.
People were worried about hitting the sills or side steps and wiping out the doors. There was a log sort of in a bit of an awkward position. Apart from that, everyone sort of made around with a few little skids and slides and a few dragging on side steps, but yeah, generally everyone cleared it without too much hassle.
Mike in the Clearview 200 series through, he's carrying a lot of weight, hasn't got a good ground clearance, so we managed to get him through.
With the right equipment and the right people there to guide you down, you were able to negotiate and get your vehicle down safely.
And then the final climb up to Mount Separation, climb over just sheer granite. Managed to get up there in convoy.
Granite's got fantastic traction, good set of tyres, patience, low gear, turn your diff lockers on and listen to the guy that's spotting you. No problem getting up here, quite safe.
We're on the final section of the climb to Mount Separation. I've been waiting all week for this one.
But as you come to the top, you're just welcomed by this expansive granite.
An amazing area. I can't believe places like this exist just in our backyard.
Oh wow, look at that, mate.
Wow.
Wow, look at this.
Now that is a view.
Having never been to Mount Separation before, when you come up over that crest is absolutely magnificent. I haven't seen anything like this before.
You can think of all the times in your life you've worked your way to the top of a hill and all you're faced for is a wall of trees and you think, well, okay, great. But this has this incredible view in all directions.
I think we've got a 360-degree view up here. You can look any direction and you can just see for literally miles.
To be honest, I'm quite embarrassed that I've never been here. It's all rock, it's just one massive rock.
Off to the side here, there's a track. You don't realise it is, it just looks like the rock just disappears off a cliff.
So now we're driving off a cliff. Oh my God. How cool is this?
Or another face that comes up, and I'm led to believe it's somewhere around about 45 to 50 degree angle as you come up.
All right, this is just absolutely crazy. We've got this massive climb ahead of us.
Woo! Here we go. Nuts crazy how steep this is. When the car comes up, you cannot see the road. All you see is sky in front of you. Oh yes, yes.
That's it, now go, now go. No, not going to go. Gentle back.
There was a bit more of a challenging track off to the right-hand side. Boys from ARB got a little bit stuck there in their D-Max, so I thought we'll give it a go in the Raptor.
And keep going, keep going, keep going.
Fortunately, we made it up okay. Very steep, 44 degrees actually.
Mark has watched 5 or 6 of the cars go down and come up. He said to me, get down on this side, hug it on the other side, and guess what? The rear anchor caught me, tow bar. Tongue was hanging down, Simon quickly wrapped that out for me, and we gave it another crack, and sure enough, bang, up to the top.
Woo! Woo! Yeah,
The wheels just took forever.
How good is that?
Good.
Huh?
Yeah.
Just absolutely fantastic. Work's going to feel pretty boring next week in comparison to this.
I didn't realise how awesome it was out here. There's so many things to see.
Run through some magnificent forests, some old growth stuff in there and some really big trees.
But to get out and see the backcountry of Victoria, it's been fantastic.
Could not ask for a better trip, really. For me, it's our backyard. It's the high country, it's rocks, it's mud. It's every type of condition you can possibly imagine thrown at you.
The weather would turn probably a lot of people off, but we just embrace it. The conditions are what they are.
I'm very much a novice and I'm here to learn, and I feel like I've learned a whole lot, sort of trying to pile into the head. Hopefully some of it sticks.
Had my son James and his L plates along. He's certainly come on a leaps and bounds and he's a lot more cautious.
We've had an absolute ball. Sienna's had a ball. We loved it, and thank you very much for the opportunity to tag along and be involved.
A huge thank you to Simon and his team, because we've had an absolute awesome time.
I can't wait for the next one.
Should I say thanks to Jake for letting me ruin his car? That's all right.
We've had a brilliant time exploring the best of the Strathbogies. As we take in the views, our minds are already drifting onto our next adventure. Stay tuned for another big year as your 4x4 brings you the best destinations that everyone can enjoy.